Hey, this is just intended to be a very quick video to familiarize you with the new Hypno Flash application. So I just wrote this little quick phone app. It's only the second app I've ever written. I've done it during quarantine. My thought was, if you can't get out of the house, hey, why don't we get out of our bodies? So crazy thought, I know, but it led to kind of a fun, kind of a magical little app. I'm going to pop up Hypno Flash here. I think without the video, it might be a little bit confusing, but it's actually an extraordinarily simple app. And I wrote it partially as a test. I wrote it in JavaScript as a test to see if I had the complexity in JavaScript to write an even more advanced app that I might mention here just quickly at the end of the video. But when you boot up your Hypno Flash, you will find that it has a button for energy. It has a button for relaxation. It has a 40 Hertz hum that it produces, and it has a neural flash. So those things might sound mysterious. I thought I'd give a very quick explanation of each one. So you have different brainwave states, and I like to monitor my brainwave states. This is a brainwave monitor, an EEG. My son Mackenzie and I did this as a sort of a weekend project once, and I may do a future video on how you can make your own EEG if you're curious. You have high states of energy when you're very mentally alert, like a gamma state of energy, and you have very relaxed states, like a delta state when you're meditating. I'm going to kick on my brainwave monitor, and we'll get a look at what my brain is doing here very quickly. So the Hypno Flash app uses binaural beats, which we'll explain in just a moment, and those binaural beats allow you to attune your brainwave frequencies. So with an actual EEG, being the skeptic that I always am, I wanted to monitor and see if my brainwaves were actually being modified. I'm going to wind up with a lot of equipment on my head. You won't have to have all of this. But to use it on your phone, you must have headphones on or earbuds. A binaural beat does not work if it's played from a speaker. So, well, there's my brain waves, and they're chaotic as usual, especially being cooped up in the house like a lot of us have been right now. So at the moment it says I have almost no concentration, which is funny since we're doing a video together, right? But what I would do to operate the app here, let me give you an example of a binaural beat, and we'll also see if we get a response there as well. So, I hadn't experimented to see if I could put all this headgear on at once. Usually I would do these things separately. But if you put your headphones on, this is only going to work if you have a headphone. And I were to play you a tone. I'm going to play you, as a matter of fact, I'll use this, 300 Hertz tone. And you're going to hear this in both ears with your headphones on. So pushing the switch to 300. So that's a 300 Hertz tone, and it's just a very mundane sounding tone. But if your left ear is 300 Hertz and I switch your right ear to 305 Hertz, you now have a different tone in each ear. Do you hear a beat, a wobbling sound, a wah, wah, wah? When you have a sine wave and you have another sine wave of a different frequency, you get an interference pattern. But the interesting thing you'll find with your headphones now is each of the tones in your ears is absolutely solid, and yet you hear a beat. If you lift up either of your headphones, you'll quickly find that you just have a solid tone in either ear. And that's the magic of a binaural beat. The beat that you're hearing has to come, since you're hearing a solid tone in either ear, has to come from the halves of your brain communicating with each other and passing along that canceling sine wave in how they process the information. That's the idea behind a binaural beat. And at different frequencies, people have found that they stimulate the different states. You can get up to if you want to wake up after a power nap, you can do a gamma state, and the binaural beats hopefully trigger those different brain pathways. So all you need to do is listen, press whatever your preference is, energy or relaxation, and listen to it for 20 minutes. You can even do other things, and a really great thing about binaural beats is you can listen to your own music and play this in the background, and you will get the same benefit, which is super handy. So what did my brainwaves do? Did they spike? Well, I can definitely see that my attention came up, and look at this. I had the meditation frequency on, and it says meditation. So, this is not the most elaborate EEG. It is a homemade unit. But it's always interesting to see sort of a weird confirmation. And I actually did this with my class of 8 to 14-year-olds in our technology class, and they all put the headset on, and they had amazing control over their brainwaves, more than any adult I ever met, which is another interesting thing. So aside from energy and relaxation, we've got the 40 Hertz button. When you press that, it just makes a 40 Hertz tone. There has been wonderful research done at MIT that shows that a 40 hertz tone or a 40 hertz flashing light actually cures mice from Alzheimer's. It was discovered by accident. So, anything that affects lab animals and is harmless to try, we've got to experiment with, right? So that is the second button on the Hypno phone, is the neural flash. So if I press the neural flash, I'm going to get a neural flashing light. Now, the reason it's yellow is there is some research now that indicates that white LEDs, which produce a lot of blue light, can be damaging to your eyes. So I thought if people were staring at the flashing light, then you would definitely want to have the blue cut out. And when I cut the blue out, the light appears yellow. When you tap on the yellow light, you get the flash pattern for mental cognition and potentially reducing amyloid plaques, and which is what happened in the mice, and reducing Alzheimer's. Now, they want this flashing light to be somewhere in your periphery for about an hour every day. It's such a new experiment. There's no exact protocol. But they said what they're experimenting with now is about an hour a day of flashing. So if you have your neural flash going on your phone and you put it somewhere in your vision while you're watching television or doing other things, you may have a benefit in cognition, or someone who is suffering from Alzheimer's. This is something that a lot of people are experimenting with. Another tap on the flashing light, we're back to the Hypno phone. And by clicking on the back to the binaural audio, we can come back to our main screen there. So you've got energy, binaural beat, relaxation. You've got the 40 hertz, which can accompany the 40 hertz flash for mental cognition and possibly for Alzheimer's experimentation. And last, I was talking about getting out of our bodies. I have the astral button. So in fiddling with these binaural beats, as you all know from my other videos, I'm the biggest skeptic in the world, but I really like fringe sciences. And I listened to so many patterns that were supposed to get you out of your body or supposed to help during meditation. And the one that's going to play in the background on your phone app is the one that worked for me. 20 minutes of relaxation. Because you can listen to other things, sometimes I put Pink Floyd on at the same time. Maybe Dark Side of the Moon had a little something to do with it. But boy, it definitely gives you a light feeling in your body. You feel like you're floating away, and it just carries you. It's actually extraordinarily interesting. You might want to be a little bit careful with it and not do it if you're operating equipment or you're in the car or something like that. So the astral button is just for play, and it's definitely our escape from quarantine button. Let me know what you find happens with that. And we had one last thing here too. If you were to hit the meditation spiral button, a lot of people staring at a spiral definitely trip on it. I trip on it after a little while. So I thought if you wanted a visual, you just touch that spiral. It gives you a full screen meditation spiral. If you slide the spiral up, you can also set up the binaural beats from here and play them from here, and then slide it back to full screen on your phone. You've got something trippy to look at and visualize. You've got a beat that I've definitely found sends you on a trip, which is wonderful. And you've got all of that on your phone anytime you feel like playing with it. Another tap on the spiral, and we're back to the main screen. And that is everything there is to the Hypno phone. Now, this video and simple step-by-step instructions appear when you press the instruction button, and you can scroll through those. I'm going to update those. I was really astounded that the folks at Google Play usually take several weeks to approve an app, and this was approved in like 2 days. So I didn't have the instructions ready. So if you downloaded it before seeing this video, that's what happened. I just was in a scramble to get the instructions up. So those are the ideas. That is the Hypno Phone app. I plan to follow this. This was an experiment, as I said. It's only the second app I ever wrote, written in JavaScript. I wanted to see if it was robust enough that I can write a 3D version where you'll wear the virtual goggles and the hypno elements will come flying towards you. And I also wanted to spend time with it so that I could try to select the things that were the trippiest for me and find out if they're the trippiest for you. So like I said, if the quarantine has got you down and you can't get out of the house, maybe we can get out of our bodies.